Hey everybody, welcome back.
Hey guys, welcome back.
This is Bev.
And this is Diz.
And this is
Trigger Warning.
Y'all heard it. Diz is back. Yay!
I'm back, you guys. My voice is sort of back.
She's no longer illish.
Yeah, I'm only slightly ill.
She's only slightly ill.
Yeah, but I'm better now.
She sounds better. Well, your voice sounds a little off, but I didn't hear it when it sounded real bad, so.
Yeah, it was pretty bad for a couple of days.
But,
so I'm back, guys.
Yay.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
We brought her back just in time for her to talk to you for like 40 minutes.
Woo-woo! Oh my gosh.
So we'll edit out any coughing that she does.
Yeah, I might have to. And I might get like that eventually by the end.
That's okay. So we're getting close to Halloween, so we'll just pretend it's a Halloween monster.
It's my theme.
Yeah. What you got?
Well, so today I have like a mystery.
You like mysteries. I like mysteries too.
Trigger warnings as far as this goes. Obviously, there's going to be some death.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about some kind of pretty serious bodily injuries.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing else. There's no children involved. There's none of those things that I always forget to tell you guys about.
All right.
We should be okay.
All right. Let's do it.
Wednesday, September 15th, 2010. The MCM Elegante Hotel in Beaumont, Texas.
Oh.
A man enters room 348. He's on a work trip for he and his brother's oil and land leasing business. He's ready to relax finally. He walks in and turns up the air conditioner because he likes it cool at night and it's frickin' Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Puts on his pajama pants, folds up his other clothes that he was wearing, props his pillows up on the bed. He lays like a white hand towel down by where he's going to sit on the bed, puts his ashtray and his cigarette pack there and a lighter and his BlackBerry and the remote.
Old school BlackBerry.
And his Reese's Crispy Crunchy candy bar. And he puts his root beer on the bedside table. And he starts channel surfing, looking for something to watch. He lands on Iron Man 2.
Awesome.
Woohoo! He starts watching the movie. He's eating small bites of his candy in between, like, drinks and smoking.
Mm-hmm.
He's just having a great time relaxing after working all day. As he's sitting there enjoying the downtime, watching Tony Stark being Tony Stark, he has no idea that he's going to miss the end of the movie. 55-year-old Greg Fleniken was a former chief engineer on many ocean-going vessels and had spent most of his youth out on the water. As he got older, he decided, you know what, I'm going to find something on land. He had gotten married like 15 years before, and he wanted to be closer to her. So he ended up in Texas. He and his brother Michael partnered up, and they had like a land business. Very profitable. They were making lots of money, and he would travel just outside of Houston. Like every week, he would travel for work, and then he'd drive back home. So to everyone's knowledge, Greg had no enemies. On September 16th, when his wife can't get in touch with him, she's confused and then she starts to get worried. Greg always calls her. He doesn't go and do things he's not supposed to. He's a middle-aged man, and she can't figure out why she can't get him to talk to her, to pick up, to call. So she calls his work and asks if he's there, and they said, no, he hasn't shown up. So she asked some of his coworkers to go to the hotel and check on him. So the coworkers go, they bang on the door and they yell. They don't hear anything. The door is locked. They go to management, and management agrees to let them in. And when they walk in, they see Greg face down on the carpet with the butt of a cigarette between his fingers on his left hand, like he just fell on the floor, like halfway to the door. His skin is grayish blue, and the room, they notice, is hot and stuffy.
Interesting.
Just over an hour later, Detective Scott Apple with the Beaumont police arrives on scene. As he gets there, he notes that the door was locked. There's no sign of a break-in. Nothing in the room appears to be disturbed. The wallet that Greg had was still in his jeans pocket where he had taken his jeans off the night before. And there was still $100 bills in the wallet. So they're pretty sure there was no robbery going on.
Right.
The neighboring guests and everything, nobody heard anything. It just looks like he just collapsed on the floor. And they're all thinking, pretty routine, natural causes. You know, he's 55. He's a smoker.
Right.
Okay. So, Detective Apple talks with Greg's wife, Susie, and his brother, Michael. And they tell him that Greg didn't really exercise. He had chain smoked most of his adult life. He ate pretty much whatever he wanted, even though he didn't eat excessively. He ate whatever he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
so it sounded pretty obvious,
like natural, like heart attack or something like that.
Right.
And Susie said, you know, he went out the way he would have wanted to. Like, he would have been sitting there watching TV or like that kind of thing.
Very suddenly.
So she's
just
like,
done.
Okay with it. Like, you know. Okay.
Right.
So they take Greg's body. It's transported to Jefferson County Medical Examiners for an autopsy. Which, I don't know. I didn't know that they would just do one. Especially since I think it's just natural causes, but...
I guess any unattended death.
I guess because he's also on a work trip. Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
And if he's like the CEO or one of the presidents or something, maybe for insurance purposes they have to.
So the medical examiner is Dr. Tommy Brown, and he does the autopsy. And he notes that there's a few marks on Greg's body. There's like a 1-inch abrasion on his left cheek, which is like rug burn from where he hit the floor.
Mm-hmm.
A 1/2-inch laceration of his scrotum. And he noted that the scrotum was swollen and discolored. He has bruising that has spread from his groin area across his right hip. Then he opens him up on the inside, and he sees a ton of blood inside, extensive internal damage, and a little bit of food that he had not digested. He's like, yeah. So he sees, like, lacerations of his intestines, his stomach, his liver. He has 2 broken ribs, and a hole or a mark that's in the right atrium of his heart.
Oh, geez.
So he is all messed up inside, okay? Severe trauma, and he says that it's like what he would expect someone who had been in a car crash to look like.
Yeah.
Or who had had something heavy fall on them. That is what he looked like on the inside. And he said the wound to his genital area looked like he might have been kicked really hard right there or something. Ugh. So, when he filled out the official form of the manner of death, he wrote homicide.
Oh, okay. Not even an undetermined, just straight up decided homicide.
And I think it's because he's like, this looks like a really bad kick. Like somebody beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
It did say he had also taken a blow to the chest so severe it had caused lethal damage.
Yeah, that perforation of the heart.
And it said he would have bled out in less than 30 seconds. Maybe a couple of minutes he would have lasted. And been conscious.
Wow.
Okay. So he's been beaten to death. This man was beat to death. But the only bruising they find is across his
pelvis and stuff, basically.
Like just right there. Okay.
Where he may have gotten kicked, which makes sense that there would be bruising there.
Right. But would that have caused lacerations on his intestines? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay, so Detective Apple talks to Dr. Brown about his findings. And Brown is telling him, it looks like he was in a car crash, essentially, is what the injuries look like. The man was beaten to death. Mm-hmm. And so it's homicide for that reason.
Right.
So Detective Apple is talking to the other guests at the hotel. And right next door to Greg's room is 2 electricians who were in town for a few months working on a project. They are in the room beside him. And so they talked to them. Their names are Lance Mueller and Tim Steinmetz. And they're all cool. They're really nice. Like, what the heck's going on? You know, because they're taking the body out in a bag. And they're like, what the heck is happening? Everything's cool. No one else has heard anything. Everyone else is okay. So Apple's like, okay, what do I think might have happened from just what I know right now? Well, he had found out that earlier in the evening, Greg had accidentally caused a circuit to blow when he was microwaving popcorn in his room.
Uh-huh.
And so the power had gone out to not everyone, but to some. So it was his room, the room next door where the electricians were, and then some rooms underneath him. Like they were all in the same circuit.
Well, it's convenient that the electricians were next door.
Right? I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So they're thinking maybe it was the maintenance man that went up to check.
Mm-hmm.
He had called the front desk. He was like, look, I'm really sorry. I don't know what I did, but my popcorn has caused the circuit to blow. Can you send someone up? And like, yeah. So the maintenance guy was apparently a sex offender. I don't really know much more about that other than that's what they said. But they questioned him, and they thought maybe he had tried to try something with Greg while he was in there to seduce him or something, and then had assaulted him because Greg is like, no, I'm not about that. And maintenance guy was like, you know, forget you then. But then Apple talks to the maintenance guy, and he does not think that is what happened at all.
Yeah.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's...
But sex offender doesn't automatically equal, I'm going to hit on this random dude whose popcorn blew up the circuit.
Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
It's like we don't even know what kind of sex offense he did.
Look into it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, they got to look at it, but still.
Okay, so they're like, maintenance guy, we don't think that happened. Then they're like, okay, what about the guys next door?
Mm-hmm.
The electricians. They were there. They were staying for a few months. They would usually come back to their hotel room and they drink at night and everything. And they're like, well, their room, their power got cut because of the popcorn incident. Maybe they were drunk and words were said and an altercation happened. Maybe they were in the hallway and they like got mad at him and beat him up or whatever.
Or anybody whose room, you know, went dark.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, if they're drinking a lot, this could have happened. It could have happened, but they're just not really sure about that. And then they even thought, did his wife, Susie, have him killed?
Right.
That's always a possibility.
Too, yeah.
But once Detective Apple talked to her, he did not think at all that was the case. So, what the heck? He's like, what happened? I don't know. So, a few weeks go by. There's eventually a reward of $50,000 offered for anyone who has any information. His brother Michael hires a PI who's a former FBI agent. And he meets up with Apple and they review the case and everything. And then Apple never hears from him again. So I don't know what was up with that dude. A friend of Susie's tells Susie about this guy named Ken Brennan. He is a former Long Island cop and DEA agent. And he was actually working as a private detective in Florida. And he was good at his job. And he was good at thinking outside the box when it came to cases. So in February of 2011, Susie's like, okay, I'm going to hire Ken Brennan to come check this out.
Right.
So she hires him, and he talks with her, and he immediately determines she had nothing to do with it because he had to check for himself whether he thought she might be involved.
Right.
And then he asks her, well, was there anything about the crime scene that you thought was out of the ordinary and odd? And she said, really, the one thing that really struck me is that it was hot in the room. Because he always had to have it cold at night. But that's the only thing. And so he's like, okay. So he talks with Detective Apple. They go to the hotel. They review crime scene photos and the autopsy results together. And nothing. They can't figure it out. Time continues to go on by. They continue to review the case, investigate anything that they think might be possible. Then, one day, Ken Brennan asked Susie, was Greg left-handed or right-handed? And she said right-handed. And he said, did he smoke with his left hand or his right hand? And she said, with his right hand.
He had the cigarette in his left hand.
Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay. We know that Greg liked his room cold, but it was stuffy when they got there. Maintenance had left Greg's room at 8:30 p.m. that night. So that was the last time he was seen alive. Right. 8:30 p.m. They know that the movie starts again once the power comes on. The air conditioner is still off, but it's still going to be cold in the room for a little while.
Right.
So he probably wouldn't have noticed. Oh, the AC's not on. He was laying face down on the floor with a cigarette in his left hand. Now they're thinking, okay, if they thought that there was an altercation with the guys beside him, why would he have a cigarette in his hand? And like, they're thinking, oh, maybe he was assaulted somewhere else and brought back to his room.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, his hand was like curled under him. Right. On the floor, and he had this cigarette between his fingers. They're like, who would do that, you know, right. If they're just trying to get the heck out of there. So they're like, okay, we don't think he got killed somewhere else, but we just don't know what happened. So they go back to the hotel. They're like, we gotta look at this hotel room. So they get down on their hands and knees. They are looking everywhere. All around the room, perimeter, everywhere. And then Brennan stands up and he goes back to the door and he looks and he sees where the doorknob hits the wall, there's another indentation just past it. An indentation in the wall. And he's like, what the heck? That is not from the door.
Right. Okay.
And he's like, let's go over to room 349 next door. So they get access in there and they go in there and they see a perfect little small hole on that side. And it's filled with something that's kind of like light pink.
Mm-hmm.
And it's toothpaste. He's like, dude was shot.
Oh, I do remember the story now. Oh my gosh.
It's crazy, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I wish you guys could have seen her face. Okay. Apple's like, excuse me? What the heck are you talking about? And he's like, this man was shot. And it came from this room. And it's been filled with toothpaste. And the other side, it had been kind of fixed. Like, smoothed over and, you know, like right. They would if there was something wrong in a room. So they're like, we got to go talk to those guys again. Now, by this time, they'd been away from there, the electricians. They were on other projects. They weren't in that same area.
Right.
So I think they ended up going to Minnesota to talk to Tim Steinmetz. Before Brennan and Apple had gone to see Tim and his friend Lance that were in the room had spoken and gotten their story straight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Brennan and Apple are like, hey, Tim, what's up, friend? Good to see you. They're asking him all these questions. He's answering them. Nothing about a gun or anything like that. So they're like, okay, well, if you'll just sign this piece of paper, like it's basically what he was just saying.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, sure, no problem. And then they're like, he signs it. He's like, okay, thanks. And they're like, now sit down and tell us what really happened. He's like, what? Like, we know what happened. You're in trouble now because that's false report.
Uh-huh.
You're lying to us. So Tim's like, shoot. And so this is what he tells them. According to Tim and another one of their coworkers, Trent Cassano, Tim Lance and Trent were all in 349 drinking beer.
Mm-hmm.
Lance asks Trent to go down to the car and get Lance's bottle of whiskey and his pistol from his car.
Because they need that in the hotel
Obviously.
room for some reason.
So Trent's like, okay. So he goes down, he gets the whiskey and the pistol, which happened to be a 9mm Ruger. And Lance starts playing with it. He points it at Tim. And Tim, like, ducks and falls to the floor and is like, what the... Dude, cussing him. Like, what are you doing pointing that at me? And then Lance is kind of pointing it towards Trent, who's at the end of the bed. And Trent's like, what the heck? And the gun goes off. And so Trent's like, what the heck? And he's like, okay, I didn't get shot. I'm okay. And they all turn and look, and there's a hole in the wall. So Lance freaks out. Tim and Trent freak out. And they're like, what the heck? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So Lance, like, bundles up the gun and takes it back down to the car. When he gets back, Trent has already gone back to his freaking room. He's like, I'm out of here. This is crazy. And Lance and Tim go down to the bar to drink. Now, Lance and Tim says they don't know if there's anyone in the other room. They hadn't heard anything. When they get back later from the bar, it's around midnight-ish or so, they hear a cough. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason they knew somebody was in there. They don't go knock on the door. They don't do anything. They're just like, there's a dude in there. So they're talking to him, and they're like, Tim, y'all didn't know anyone was in there until you heard coughing at midnight? And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, no, we never heard coughing. That was the story they had settled on.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up getting Tim to call Lance, and they record the phone conversation. And he tells Lance that the two detectives came and talked to him, and he ended up telling them everything, and that the guy had died, which they did not know at the time.
Okay.
And then they were hoping that it wasn't because of that. Even though I thought they said he went out in a body bag, maybe he was just covered up, I don't know. So Lance is like, shoot, okay. So they go and arrest Lance.
Because Lance was the one that fired it?
It was his gun, and it was in his hand.
Okay.
When it went off.
It went off, yeah.
And he was drunk.
Yeah. And acting like an idiot while he had a gun in his hand.
Acting like a idiot. Okay. At court, Lance pleads no contest to manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets 10 years in prison. And I think the max is 20 years. I don't remember exactly. So during the trial and everything, they talk about his injuries,
mm-hmm.
Greg. And it said that the bullet had entered his scrotum, moving upward, tearing through his insides, lacerating his organs, breaking bones, and stopping deep in his chest. And it said that it would have been a slow, silent death, that he may have been conscious for a short while afterwards while he was dying. Lance feels bad about it, but they don't think he feels bad enough, for what happened. Like, you're
killed
drinking,
somebody.
You killed someone. You almost killed the dudes that you were in the room with.
Right.
You could have easily killed them. And there was no reason for you to have the gun in the hotel. It's probably not even allowed anyway.
Right.
Well, Texas. Maybe in Texas.
In Texas, maybe, yeah.
Maybe in Texas, they do.
Yeah. But still, there was no, like you said, there was no reason for you to have it.
Right.
You were drunk and just trying to show off, and you were acting like an idiot.
It. And the guys, when he was showing off, they're like, what are you doing? Like, they were pissed at him.
Yeah.
Because
you have a gun.
And you're drunk.
Yeah.
You're being stupid. Okay. So he seemed completely shocked when the judge gave him 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think he thought he was going to
It was an accident. I'm so sorry.
And it's funny because they were saying, look, if you had
If he had immediately,
checked on him,
been like,
someone,
oh my God, I screwed up and I wasn't thinking, and,
they're like, you probably wouldn't have gotten anything.
Yeah, if he had immediately reported it and, like, tried to figure out what happened and, like...
Even though he was drunk with a gun.
Yeah.
It's like...
He could have been like, I took it out of my suitcase to move it and get something, and it went off.
Right.
Like, anything, but... or I was just showing my friend because I just got it, or whatever.
Right.
Lie about it if you want to, whatever.
You probably would have gotten
if you had tried to figure out if anything happened to somebody.
Months to tell someone.
Yeah.
That this happened. Because even if dude hadn't died.
Yeah.
Like, he still could, like, who knows what could have happened, you know? So they're like, you messed up, man. And you don't seem that sorry about it. So... During the trial, close to the end, Susie gets to speak to him. And I'm going to read you what she said.
Okay.
Quote, I have waited over 2 years to look you in the face, eye to eye, and simply have the chance to speak directly to you. You would never have come forward with the truth. You murdered him. No, you didn't intentionally seek him out to murder him, but you murdered him with every lie you told, with every intentional, selfish deception, with every cover-up, over and over again. You saw his body taken out of the room in a body bag the next day. You knew you killed him, and he meant nothing to you. You have met your match. I would have spent the rest of my life tracking you down. And I found you, Greg's murderer. I brought you to justice.
Go, girl.
Right?
Holy crap.
Eloquent. And she's a tiny little thing, apparently.
Feisty. Fierce. You don't mess with a little feisty Texan lady.
No, for sure not. And her name's Susie, but it's like, you better watch out for Susie.
Susie cute.
Right?
I'm gonna get you.
This was a really cool story because it's like, it's just one of those conundrums at first because you're like, dude is dead. Okay, heart attack. No, because his insides are so messed up.
Yeah.
There's no one else there. The door is locked. What the heck happened?
Right.
Like.
Yeah.
I would never in a million years think.
And isn't it crazy too? The guy, the way that he was shot, it looked like he'd been hit by a car.
Right.
That's the kind of damage a bullet can do.
Yeah.
To your insides. It makes it look like you were hit by a car.
And just think. Because he's sitting, like, laying on a bed, like, sitting up, that's why it went up the way it did.
Yeah.
Because it was, like, right at the hip level of Ken Brennan when he was looking at the hole in the wall. Yeah. So if he had been standing up, it would have maybe just gone straight through. Now, it could have still killed him.
Yeah.
But it would have been...
Well, if he was standing up, he probably would have been awake and realized, wait, something...
Well, and he was
happened.
awake, though, because...
He might have been, but he might have been kind of dozing and not quite, like...
And so Ken Brennan, like, when...
So I wonder, like, why he stood up and had the cigarette in his left hand.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
Ken Brennan's like, I believe he knew something was wrong, but he didn't know what, because he wouldn't have known what just happened.
Right.
He got up and stumbled towards the door and put his cigarette in his left hand because he's right-handed to open the door.
To reach the door.
Because I was like, why does he have his cigarette in his left hand? That's what they think.
That makes sense.
And just think, if there had not been the short circuit, the AC would have been on still.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have been a weird situation.
Right.
I mean, there still would have been his body and all the injuries and stuff, but it's like, if the power hadn't gone out.
That made the scene seem even more sus to his wife and stuff, so.
And then it's like, because they did look at video and they saw him come in, like, to the hotel and everything. So that would have been the last time he was seen alive.
Right.
Much earlier.
Yeah. So they had a more, a tightened up timeline on it because of the thing. Which is strange, too, that the microwaving popcorn would have caused the circuit to go out. And it's normal to have
pack of popcorn.
Yeah, that's normal for people to do something like that.
It is weird.
and to throw out a circuit on several rooms in a hotel.
Yeah, not just his room. Yeah. Not just, like, explode that microwave or something, but, like, to mess up the circuit for other rooms. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Unless somebody in another room had, like, a hairdryer and a curling iron and the microwave and the TV and the refrigerator and, had a bunch of other stuff on the same circuit. That's really strange that would have happened.
It sounds like it's a lot of guys at work. Mm-hmm. Not saying that there wasn't females there. Yeah. But it seems like there was less females. Yeah. Because, you have the electricians.
Well, you know how guys are with their curling irons and stuff.
I know. They're just so particular about their hair. Yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of a quick one. But that I thought was very...
That is, yeah, and it wasn't until you were crazy. Like, when you said the toothpaste, and I was like, oh, yeah. I do remember this case very, like...
and so they were like, oh, shoot, they had the hole, so they filled it with their toothpaste.
Yes.
And they're not going to pay attention to that too much.
Yeah.
In a hotel, like maintenance or housekeeping or whatever.
Yeah. Housekeeping would just be like, I don't care. Right. I'm just going to replace the toilet paper.
You know what's crazy, though? So those dudes stayed at that hotel for how much longer?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Knowing that you killed the person that was next door.
And they kept thinking, so everyone was talking about how it was natural causes that morning.
At first, yeah.
So they're like, oh, good, it was, like, it's okay. It didn't go all the way through. He died from a heart attack or whatever.
But what are the odds that a bullet went through your room into the room that he came out of dead?
Right. And it's
what are the odds?
You can't assume that it just got stuck in the wall. Because think how thin those walls are of a hotel room.
Yeah. You can hear somebody fart in the next room. Yeah. Like, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
I would have immediately been like, what if? I would have immediately thought it could easily go through the walls.
Yeah. It's just so frustrating. Now, it sounds like even if they had gone to check on him, he probably would have been dead because he would have bled out so quickly into his abdomen and stuff.
Yeah.
But at least they could have tried,
Yeah.
And like the dude that left to go back to his room.
Yeah.
If only he'd gone over and just knocked on that, he might have heard a noise or something.
Right. That's so sad.
It is. And there was pictures of him in the articles that I was reading, and he just looks so nice.
That's just one of those things where it's like, if only. One of those if only situations.
Like, one thing was different. Well, like, if they hadn't gotten
we should have named this podcast If Only.
Oh my gosh.
Because most of the stuff we talk about, it's like, if only one thing could change, then, the crime could have been avoided, the disaster wouldn't have happened, or whatever.
He hadn't wanted this gun, or if only the other guy hadn't actually gone to get it. Of course, dude probably would have gone out and got it himself if he really wanted it, but if only. It kind of reminded me of like an Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
Not like.
Yeah, it's one of those locked room mysteries.
Mystery.
Yeah.
In real life.
It's just.
And the thing is,
it's so frustrating.
If that bullet hadn't done so much damage, they probably would have just assumed, because the medical examiner did not see that there was a hole in the heart. That's what that was.
Right.
There was a hole in his heart from where the bullet made its way up through there. And Ken Brennan looked at the autopsy photos and that kind of stuff, and he saw it. And you could see, obviously, the trajectory because of all the
perforations
and
stuff,
everything.
Yeah. Well, he saw a perforation in the heart, didn't he?
Yeah, but he didn't know that it was a hole.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my gosh. I missed it. But it's like,
I mean, a perforation is basically a cut, an opening. So, yeah, I guess he thought it just was like where the muscle tore or something.
Right.
But it's like.
Because he's thinking
somebody beat him up.
Beat him up. So who knows what would happen to your organs.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know. It was.
That was a very interesting case to come back on.
Yeah,
thanks. With your illness.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're feeling better and that you came back.
I'm glad to be here. It's good to be back.
I think Brad Brad sat in for you last week, but it's good to have you back.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate you, Brad.
So I guess that'll wrap it up for this time, and we'll check you next time.
And guys, don't forget, watch for deer.